In this lesson, we're looking at converting linear equations in standard form, which is ax plus by equals c. We're going to look at converting them to slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. So let's go ahead and get started. So linear equations are frequently written in standard form. That is ax plus by equals c, where a is the coefficient of x, or the number in front of x. B is the coefficient of y, or the number in front of y. X and y will remain variables, and c would be a number that is a constant. And also, equations written in standard form can be converted to slope-intercept form by basically just solving for y. And so as we can see on the right-hand side here, we have slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. The slope will be m, or the number in front of x, and b would be our y-intercept, which will be our constant. But we can convert standard form to slope-intercept form by simply solving for y. For our first example here, on the left-hand side, I have just a standard two-step equation, and on the right-hand side, I have an equation that is in standard form that I'm going to convert to slope-intercept. So I'm completing this two-step equation problem and the standard form equation, rewriting it in slope-intercept form to show you that the process is the same. The only difference is with standard form, you have an x there as well, but we can use inverse operations to solve for y. So let's get started on this. So for my two-step equation, the first thing I would do to solve for my variable is to subtract 5 from both sides. Because that's a positive 5, I'm subtracting 5. I'm left with 2y equals 21 minus 5 is 16. Over here, I want to do the same thing. So I'm solving for y. So my first step is to subtract or add what term has the x. So this is going to cancel out because that was a positive 4. I'm subtracting for x. I'm bringing down 5y. I cannot combine negative 4x and negative 30 because they are not like terms. So I'm simply going to write them separate, keep them separate, but I'm writing the term with the x first because I want it in slope-intercept form. And remember, the term with the x is first in slope-intercept. So I'm going back to my two-step equation. My last step is just to divide by 2. Right? So y equals 8. I'm going to do the same process or the same thing on the right-hand side. Since that is 5 times y, I'm going to divide by 5 to isolate my y. So now I want to write this in slope-intercept form. I'm going to divide negative 4x by 5. I cannot reduce that fraction, so I'm just going to simply write it as negative 4/5 x. So I'm going to apply this 5 to that negative 4x and the 30. Then I'm going to divide negative 30 by 5, and that gives me negative 6. And I have rewritten this equation in slope-intercept form. And let's identify the slope. The slope is the number in front of the x. So my slope is negative 4/5. And my b, or my y-intercept, is negative 6. So I've rewritten this equation in slope-intercept form. So I have 3 more problems here. I'm going to rewrite them in slope-intercept form and identify the slope and the y-intercept. So this first problem here, x minus y equals negative 8. I'm going to subtract x from both sides. Because that is a positive x, I don't have a negative in front. This cancels out. I'm left with negative y equals negative x minus 8. Remember to write the term with the x first because I want it in slope-intercept form. And then this is understood 1 in front of the y, or negative 1. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 1. I'm left with y equals, well, this is a 1 in front of the x. So it's understood 1. If I divide negative 1 by negative 1, I get a positive 1. So we don't put 1x, we just put x. There's an understood 1 in front of the x. Then I divide negative 8 by negative 1, and that is a positive 8. All right, so I've rewritten it. My slope is 1, the coefficient or the number in front of x, and my y-intercept is 8. Next, have a positive 3x. Subtracting 3x cancels out. Bring down that negative 2y. Write my 3x first, so negative 3x minus 14 because that's a negative 14. Divide both sides by negative 2. Y equals negative 3 over negative 2. Those negatives cancel out, so I'm left with positive 3 over 2x. And negative 14 divided by negative 2 is a plus 7. And then my y-intercept is 3 over 2. And my slope is 3 over 2. And my y-intercept is 7. And last, I got a net positive x here. So again, subtracting x cancels out. I'm left with 5y equals negative x minus 15, because that's a negative 15. Last steps, dividing 3 by 5 cancels out. This cancels out. And I'm left with y equals, so that's the understood 1 in front of that x. So when I simplify it, that's going to be negative 1/5 x minus 3. Negative 15 divided by positive 5 is a negative 3. And my slope is negative 1/5. Got my negative there. And then my y-intercept is negative 3. I have these 3 problems I would like for you to try on your own. So go ahead and pause the video and try these 3 problems on your own. All right, I have the answers written here in slope-intercept form. They are boxed in. Notice for that middle problem, it is just y equals 4x. We don't put 4x plus 0. There's an understood 0. And our b or our y-intercept is 0. So go ahead and check your answers, and I hope you get them correct. All right, we've reached the end of our lesson. I want to thank you for learning with me. If you haven't already, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And once again, I want to thank you for learning with me.